We have Prashant Kumar on the call today, and Prashant is with MyRealtyGains. And is that the best place to get a hold of you? MyRealtyGains.com, Prashant?
That is correct. Yes. I mean, on myrealtygains.com, anybody can schedule call with me, and they can send me email prashant@myrealtygains.com.
So I understand that you really specialize in helping those busy professionals find some class A or grade A real estate investments. Is that correct?
That is correct, Jack. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me on your show. Uh, I appreciate that very much. Yes, you are right. My goal is to connect with the busy professionals, like doctors, lawyers who don't have time. I mean, there are a lot of. I mean, I was talking to somebody who's a PhD literate, and he spends like 15 hours a day in his lab or doing the research, right? So I mean, even when I was working full time, I never had time to even think about other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Forget about doing the right level of research and making sure my investment is growing, right? So
Right.
most of us, those who are in stock market, they do not have the insight into what else, where else can they invest money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if they invest, they end up buying only one single family or a couple of single families. They feel that just to gain the pride of ownership of the real estate, they do
Right.
not know that they are creating second job for themselves. And many times, if you compare single family versus multifamily or single family versus commercial real estate, you would realize that multifamily outweighs the benefits of multifamily outweighs single family investing by leaps and bounds, right? So
Mm-hmm.
my goal is to continue to educate, all of my friends, family members, or other investors to understand why are you not taking the benefits. You own real estate. Instead of owning one single family home, you are owning percentage share in an LLC which owns the multifamily, and all the all the professionals are managing your asset for
Mm-hmm.
you. Yes, they are taking a little bit cut, and of course, they have to make money also. But in the end, you are getting your money's worth. If you are making 15, I mean, and I'm just saying on an average, typically, people end up making at least 15% year over year. I mean, annualized return on a multifamily property. I'm talking about the projects which are working. So don't quote me on that. But if you are making 15% return on your money, what else do you want? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, without doing anything, you cut the check, you sit idle, but keep monitoring. At the same time, keep monitoring what is happening. So any questions you ask, they are answered. So my goal is to connect with those busy professionals, tell them what is possible for them, because 99% of people don't even know that something like this exists, that they can invest passively. I'm
Right.
pretty sure. I mean, I'm from India. I came here 25 years ago. 80% of Indians are uh, in IT world, and I was in IT world too. And out of those 80%, I must say 80% do not know there is anything called passive investing.
Mm.
They would assume that passive invest, if they are investing, means they are giving the money to somebody as a debt. My goal is to tell them, guys, it is not, you are not giving money as a debt to somebody. You are investing, you are becoming the part owner on a bigger project. So whether you buy a single family home or invest in a bigger project, it is one or the same thing, but you have so many these benefits. And the biggest benefit is your time.
Mm-hmm.
The time that you spend on managing your single family, you don't spend that with multifamily. So those are my goals. I'm trying to connect with whomsoever I can, and that's how in that process, I'm helping them out, hopefully a little bit.
Yeah. So it's obvious that you're speaking from experience here. Like, how did you get involved in real estate and then helping professionals like this?
Well, I learned my lessons early on. I started in single family homes. I bought three single family in 4 months. But every time I would go to the bank would look at my debt to income ratio, And as I kept on buying these homes, my debt to income ratio would continue to go down. And there was a time when they would say no.
Mm-hmm.
And freaking small, pardon my words, um, freaking $100,000 loan, they would take 3 months to approve.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what is this going on? I can cut the check, but I didn't want to do that. Obviously, I realized that it takes too much time. I mean, for a on an average, somebody would make $100 as a cash flow
Mm-hmm.
on a single family home, and but when the tenant leaves, you are paying your house is empty for 2 months, so whatever you have made has gone waste. So I did all those calculations, and I realized that it's not worth our time. So I said, listen, I have to jump into multifamily where the bigger asset. I mean, for the same amount of time, I can buy a bigger asset, and that bigger asset is valued based on the income that asset is producing,
Mm-hmm.
rather than my personal W-2 income. So I bought a multifamily. Bank gave me loan like that. Um, and trust me, the first multifamily I bought it in 19 days. 12th December, I looked at the property. I met the bank. On December 27th, I closed that property. So I was like blown away by that. I said, yes, it was hectic 15 days to get a lot of things done. But 15 days, I'm done. I mean, I bought this property.
Mm-hmm.
So versus as compared to 3 to 4 months to buy a single family home, and here in one shot I have 24 units, and my cash flow is like $2,000 $3,000 a month. Plus on top of that, I'm getting the tax benefits of cost segregation, or the depreciation that we can depreciate our multifamily at a much faster rate. So all that, considering all that, I was like, I'm not going to buy those single family anymore. I mean, as a matter of fact, I was getting rid of them. So I just got hooked up to multifamily at that moment. It was a small unit which I bought for myself, and it was giving me $2,000 3,000 a month. Uh, and the depreciation benefit, I mean, I could write it off, a lot of it from my W-2 income.
Mm-hmm.
But slowly, I gained the real estate professional status also, and then there was no stopping. That's how I started.
Sure. So then where did My Realty Gains come into play? Like, how did you move into helping other people find this
Yeah. So
path?
so once you have bought one multifamily for yourself, or two, actually I bought one more after that, 72 units. Then you are kind of out of money, right? How much money do you have? How much can you buy for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
So I was out of money, and then I said, what should I do now? I mean, then I got exposed to the syndication world because I had already gained so much experience. So I got involved with the syndicator. I started helping them out on their projects. So I learned the syndication business.
Right.
I realized that yes, I have to put money in my projects, but I need to do bigger projects. Right now I'm doing. Uh, I mean, the first project I did was 500 units, by the way. I mean, I couldn't have, I wouldn't have $8 million to invest in that $25 million project. So the money had to be raised. So that's how I learned the art of raising money. But the
Mm-hmm.
one thing I realized, that the most important thing is, it is not your willingness to tell. It is the education which is missing. I cannot tell you. I mean, we are not salesperson, right? We are not selling you investment.
Mm-hmm.
We are educating you so that you can make a appropriate decision for your situation.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is to communicate to you what are the benefits, and because of my experience, I tell you different advantages and disadvantages of different things. But it is you who have to decide for your life whether you want to invest or not, and you cannot decide unless you know about it. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot decide to invest in crypto if I do not know how crypto works, right?
Right.
So I
Right.
have to take my time to educate myself, or somebody else educates me one of the same thing. It has to go to my head
Mm-hmm.
before I can invest. So that's my goal. I mean, my goal is to educate, and it's all free education. It's nothing. We don't charge. I mean, I don't charge anything, or uh, it's just free education, connecting with the people, bringing them up to the speed with an intention, with a positive intention that hopefully in future they will invest with us. And even if they don't invest with us, they would still remain our strategic partner. I mean, they are out there. They would remember us, and maybe they will bring us some deal. Maybe we'll bring them something else in future. So it's just networking basically to me.
Right. So,
So
you brought up the syndication thing. So if somebody was interested in looking at syndication as an option for their investments, what kind of questions should they ask like a syndicator to make sure
see,
it's a good fit?
yeah, see, first of all, you have to see, the person has to realize their objective, right? They want to. So let's say if I want to invest somewhere, I would like, and for me, let's say cash flow is my objective.
Mm-hmm.
So I would ask the syndicator, what kind of deal it is. Is it a heavy value add, or is it a more stabilized deal where you are giving the returns, whether you are generating the returns from day one? Because in a heavy value add scenario, it is difficult to generate returns because a lot of money goes in the property for certain duration. Although investor make money, but those returns are deferred.
Mm-hmm.
So one is what kind of property it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number two, what is your track record? Can I check your references, right? It's very important. I
Right.
mean, you are putting your hard money with somebody, and you don't have any reference point, and you are investing with a rookie person, then you are likely to be burned a little bit more than other places. So what is your track record? What is your what kind of property it is? How many projects have you done? What kind of returns have you given to your investors in past? What have you learned from your failures in past, right?
Mm-hmm.
So more than anything else, it's more like background checking, making sure the syndicator has been doing it for some time. And then you start talking about the property related question, what kind of property it is, how much you're buying it for, what are your fees. You are not They want to make sure that is they are not charging excessive fees, and what kind of deferred maintenances are there, right? I mean, what kind of experience, what kind of teams do you have on the ground to take care of those deferred maintenance? What kind
Mm-hmm.
of property manager have you used? The property manager in past, what is their track record?
Right.
So there is a whole list of questions, like 100 questions that we can ask to make yourself comfortable. Many a times, what happens is, if I know somebody, if I know you well, I know you that you have been doing business very well, then I would not even ask any questions because I know you are going to do well anyway. But if I
Mm-hmm.
do not know you and I want to invest with you, I would ask all these background related questions
Right.
to make me feel comfortable. So you have to make me feel comfortable. Important thing is, people don't invest in a deal. People
Mm-hmm.
invest in people. you know
Right. Right.
so that's the real point I want to make sure that I'm communicating. I would not invest in some blur, something which popped up on my screen and gave me like, oh, you're going to triple the money in 5 years. I'm not going to invest into that. I would rather invest with, let's say, if you have a deal which is maybe giving me only 2 times in 5 years or 7 years or 10 years, I would be more comfortable. So so these questions are to judge where the syndicator is coming from, what is the background, and what he has done with other investors. Because I mean, if I mean, nobody is bad, but if you are immoral in some ways, then words go out, right? I mean, people
Mm-hmm.
know about them. So you do your due diligence beforehand, and learn about the. I mean, any questions I can answer specifically. Look at the underwriting to make sure underwriting is conservative. I mean, even
Mm-hmm.
in the COVID time period, are you projecting 3% income growth year over year? I mean, that's like no. I mean, in a conservative underwriting, you would say I'm projecting a negative income growth this year. Maybe next year is zero, and after that maybe 1 or 2%. If somebody said no, I'm gonna project 3% year over year, they are. I mean, maybe that will happen. I'm not saying that will not happen, but you want to see, measure how conservative you are, is the syndicator in his projections. What is
Sure.
the expense growth they are projecting? What is the current expense growth? And what does the new property manager bringing to the table? What is his track record? Where have they limited the expenses? How have they reduced the expenses rather than increasing it?
Hmm.
So those kind of questions that need to be asked, basically.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm gonna change the script a little bit though. Since you've been through this process now, setting up a syndication, if somebody was thinking about setting up their own syndication, what are some of those things that you've learned along the way that that kind of surprised you when you were setting it up?
Well, that's a that's a very good question, and one 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 thing I would say that important thing is take baby steps.
Hmm.
Le- Learn to walk before you start running, and
Well,
that's the
you did exactly that. You went and actually helped another syndicator learn the
yeah,
ropes before you jumped
that
head
is
first, right?
that is true. That is true. That's what exactly I wanted to communicate is learn the ropes of the business because it is a big business, and the dollar stakes are higher. So, I mean, as you know, to learn it, you have to do it correctly with somebody, which I did. Um, and actually, the first deal that those syndicators had done, they were burned. So I learned a lot from them, from that perspective, that they did a bigger deal and they got burned. So I ended up learning a lot from that perspective. So never go in something which you cannot handle. I mean, if you have friends and folks whom you already know that they are doing it and they are your partner, that's a different story. But if you are going, from the get go, if you want to go into a heavy value add 500 unit apartment complex, you are going to burn yourself. So that's
Hmm.
the most important part, in my mind.
Sure. No, one of we're going to change the topic slightly because one of the big proponents that you've been pushing too, and is the concept of building that generational wealth. Can you talk a little bit about how, especially through what you're talking about, passive that's a possibility?
See, I'll tell you the compounding effect, right? I mean, when you are investing, when you have money and your money is making only 1% or below 1% in bank, right? You are going to make, you're going to, you have, I mean, it's not going to be doubled in 30 years. It's just not
Right.
going to happen, right? If your money is making 3% versus 7 or 8%, you would be, if it is 8%, you probably would double your money in about 9 to 10 years, right?
Hmm.
If you are making 3%, you are going to double your money in about 33 years. And on top of it, you will be paying taxes also every year. So you
Right.
probably will not be doubling your money before. I mean, it's very highly unlikely that you will double your money because your valuation, your money's worth is going down due to inflation also. So
Hmm.
you have to invest into assets where we have returns higher than inflation, number one. Number two, you are able to attain the compounding effect on that. And number three, you are able to hopefully save some on taxes also. So if I really give you an example, bank versus CD versus stock market versus multifamily. Multifamily has been rated as the highest asset class in commercial real estate. And in multifamily, if you are making 8% return tax free, you can potentially quadruple your income, quadruple your money. Your 100,000 can become 400,000 or 800,000 in 7 to 15 to 20 years, basically. But while if you are investing in CDs, you are actually decreasing the value of the money. So generational wealth, if you need to create, you need to invest wisely in the assets where you are getting consistent return.
Right.
So 8% is just the cash flow I said. But in multifamily, typically people are making anywhere from 15 to 20% return.
Hmm.
And that return once compounded over 10-year period, you're going to quadruple your money in 10 years. I mean, 5 year double it, and again double it again in another 5 year, and keep doing it. um, so your 100,000 could become 200, 400, 800, and 1.6 million in 20 years. So that's like that 100,000 you just keep investing every 3 4 years, and sit idle. In 15 to 20 years you would have 1.6 million in your bank account. Doing what? Doing nothing. This is passive investment return I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Versus if you put it in bank and let it sit there, your 100,000 will be like maybe 110,000 in 20 years at
Mhm.
most, if at all. So that's the way you have to see the compounding effect. And the biggest advantage is in real estate, your taxes are deferred. You are depreciating your asset at a much faster pace, so you get a lot of bonus depreciation, and that kind of, oh, writes off your even taxable income also.
Mhm.
And again, I'm not a CPA. Everybody's tax situation is different, but fundamentally that's how the tax codes are written. Government incentivize those who invest in real estate, especially commercial real estate. That, and that's why these cost segregation, bonus depreciation, all these laws are there. I mean, they want you to invest so that you get tax benefits, and then you create generational wealth for yourself.
Right. No, and so we've talked about quite a bit of stuff here today. So I'm always interested when you're as a syndicator, then this is going to be a question out of the blue. Like when somebody's coming to you for the first time and this syndication concept is new, how do you where do you start? I mean, it sounds like you're talking about a lot of professionals. You mentioned some of the people, maybe at least at first, a lot of the people that have come from India, they don't even, this is a new concept for them. Where do you
Yeah.
begin to educate them regarding
See,
this?
see, the education is which I mentioned. A lot of people have the own pride of ownership in buying multiple homes, right? Education is that, guys, what is important for you. Do
Hmm.
you want to create time for yourself, or do you want to just remain busy in doing what, or you are creating more jobs for you? Every time you buy a house, you are taking additional burden on your time.
Hmm.
You are, and that time is away from your family. The most important thing that is communicated is that can you make that kind of return or more without doing anything, by freeing up your time rather than you doing all the research. Um, let professionals handle this and give you better return on your money than you doing it by yourself.
Hmm.
And by doing so, you can do better in your job. And if you are a consultant and if you have that mindset, you can use that time to the primary skill. I mean, a doctor can take care of more patients. An attorney can take care of more cases. A software programmer can do more work or a second job or whatever.
Hmm.
You do what you do best more, rather than spending your time into doing which is going to just take away time from your busy schedule,
Right.
right? So that's the basic education. Or spend time with your family, because that is invaluable time. So that's how the communication starts, right? I mean, what do you really want to do? I mean, do you want to just continue to buy these or homes and start rushing after them? And some people say, yeah, that's my way of doing it, and it's good for them. I mean, if they want to do that, that's fine. But everybody's situation is different. I mean, and that's my message, which I give to them.
Sure. Well, next thing you know, we're 25 minutes or close to 30 minutes into this. Before we wrap things up, I wanted to make sure everybody has your contact information. Head over to myrealtygains.com. I know you're pretty active, probably on LinkedIn as well. You're probably easy to find there. I'll make sure all of those links are in the show notes. But is there a question you wished I would have asked today?
No, I think we covered everything what we wanted to cover from passive investing perspective, and the basic goal again is to educate. professionals about the benefits, what passive investing can do. If you really want to explore, schedule a call with me. I would love to talk to you, anybody, and explain you one on one. And you don't have to invest with me. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to continue to educate, and hopefully, we remain connected and we remain a strategic partner, so to say, in the real estate world.
Right. No, again, it's myrealtygains.com. I really appreciate your time. This was a great conversation, and I hope we can do it again.
Jack, thank you so much. I wish that we would love to do it again too.